The main lens at which we as followers of Christ should look at our money is through the lens of stewardship. It's not my money to begin with. And so, how do I invest it in His kingdom? And how do I take what He's entrusted to me, whether that's the talents I've been given or the opportunities? It's ultimately, if you have a house, if you have a college education, and you ate a meal last night, you're in the top 1% of the world. And I think many of us need to get out to a third world mission, and we need to see what real poverty looks like and realize that there are people who are hurting. The problem is we live in such insulated lives, in our suburban areas, and I live in suburbia as well. We have to intentionally go out of our little insulated areas to say, I need to build relationships, whether it's with the neighbor, across the tracks, or whether it's with the folks downtown, or whether it's the folks in Belize. Because our culture is so insulated, I have to almost work against the tide that forces me to think just about my life. Because greed, there's lower-class greed, there's middle-class greed, and there's high-class greed. It's covetousness. In fact, many of us, we grew up, we said, boy, once I make this amount of money, I'll be fine. Yeah. And then maybe we got to that point. And amazingly, our expenses rose up to that, and we didn't have that much savings. Because you start hanging out with people who have the same kind of car you have or taking nicer vacations from you. I think that's why Jesus says, be careful of the various types or faces of greed, because greed is so insidious. I have people come into my office and say, hey, help me with this issue. Help me with this question. I don't hardly have anyone come into my office and say, Chad, I'm really struggling with greed. It's so insidious. We have to presume we have it and go to the Scriptures and go to the Holy Spirit and say, show me where my heart and where money has a grip on my heart, because you cannot serve God and mammon. The only thing I would